Hello everyone and welcome to the latest of the What House one-to-one interviews. My name is James Dearsley here on behalf of What House, and today I'm joined by Nick Shaw, the sales manager at Harrods Estates, who've just launched a brand new office in Kensington. So Nick, tell us about it. You must be pretty excited to head up that new team down there.
Yes, good morning, James. We're incredibly excited. We're all sitting here, in our brand new branch on Kensington Church Street in the heart of Kensington. There's 5 of us. For anyone who doesn't know the area, Kensington Church Street's right between Notting Hill Gate and Kensington High Street. We've been selling property and letting it for many years in the area, so it was just a natural evolution for us to open up here.
I mean, it's very on brand, isn't it, with the Harrods Estates sort of stuff? The sort of, you got your Mayfair branch, you're now into sort of Kensington. You've got a few others dotted around in those sort of core areas of central London. I mean, it must be a pretty nice move for Harrods to sort of take that on, especially given that brand name that you guys have got as well. I mean, it must be very, very attractive to people.
Yeah. I mean, it certainly is. I mean, there's as I mentioned, for years and years and years, we've been operating in this area. It's mainly been from our Knightsbridge office, sort of crossing over. But what we actually found was prior to opening here, we did a lot of demographic research on, the purchasers around here, people who live here and where wealth is generated from, etc., etc. And we found that, a lot of our rewards card holders were based here anyway. And obviously we do want to be very, very, I think it's a very important point, we do also want to be, like we've been elsewhere, very, very sensitive to the demographic. Each area is different. I think treating prime central London as one entity can be a bit of an error, that people have this idea that it's just sort of one place. Every area is different. In Kensington, especially so, it really is just have a sort of more village feel, I'd say, than perhaps Knightsbridge or Mayfair. A lot of the residents are based here full time, unlike other parts of prime central. And it's absolutely fantastic to be here, and we've been really, really well received so far.
That's good, isn't it? It's nice. I mean, picking up on what you said about the demographics there and how different markets are sort of very different. I mean, I found it very interesting last week looking at news from your Knightsbridge office. I know you're about that. Oh, you're in central London. But you can always, in the information we received from the Knightsbridge office, is actually looking at how their demographics have had a huge surge in their West African market. Look at that sort of 2.5 to 6.5 million area, and a huge surge of interest from that demographic. I mean, what do you think your client base is going to be in Kensington? Have you noticed a trend? Is there a particular nationality that is of interest in your area, or is it relatively broad at the moment?
Well, I think it is. Obviously we've just moved in, but from what we've, the sales and lettings that we've done before, Knightsbridge and Mayfair tend to have a high proportion of non-British, non-European buyers. For example, last year I think it was 89% of our purchasers were actually based overseas, and the business that we've done in Kensington so far has been much more sort of European focused. A lot of European and British tenants and purchasers. A lot of that is because the schools here. A lot of people, as I mentioned before, sort of want to be based here full time. Kensington is changing as an area, though, I have to say. We're finding that there are a lot more sort of new builds sort of being certainly going to be completed this year and have been over the last couple of years. You've got the Beer Gardens coming, basically completed. Well, it's basically done now. You've also got Holland Green, which is going to be done a bit later this year, and certainly blocks that were already operating in, like 375 Kensington High Street, that is now attracting a lot more sort of overseas buyers who want the sort of concierge, the full concierge service, parking, with leisure facilities, etc. Those kind of blocks that you're only getting in, Knightsbridge and Mayfair before are now starting to be built in Kensington because developers are sort of aware of it as an area. But just coming back to your original point, I expect it probably, judging from the research that we've done and what other agents have sold, it's probably going to be about sort of 50% British European and 50% the rest of the world.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? And I find it quite interesting what you're saying there about this block mentality in the new build sector, which is moving from that sort of traditional central place there. It's moving out, and certainly that style of build is being taken outside of the centre. And while you're saying that, what I'm just going to try and do is I'm going to try and bring up, I think you mentioned 375 Kensington High Street, and I've just got up here, and tell me when you can see it,
Yeah.
the development on your website, which is harrodsestates.com for anyone who's interested. So why don't you, I mean, just as an example of a new build, which is growing in popularity there, why don't you just talk us through what 375 Kensington High Street's all about?
Well, 375 Kensington High Street is obviously it's a very large residential block with facilities that you would perhaps see in a high-end hotel. It has it's actually managed by ourselves, by Harrods Estate Asset Management, and it has a leisure suite, private cinema, underground parking, valet. It's obviously valet parked as well. We're finding that certainly when we manage this type of lot, we're brought in almost to look after it, because this is what the overseas buyers that potentially are from outside Europe, the ones I was talking to you about earlier, expect this sort of concierge style residential apartment. And quite often they'll have 5, 6 apartments throughout the world, and this will be another one that they have as their base in London. And this is the type of apartment that they expect to have, with all these facilities. I mean, it just, you think about it, if you're spending a month of the year here, having obviously that security and that peace of mind means that you can call up ahead before you come to London. They'll potentially stock your fridge before you go to the supermarket. That if there's a problem with the apartment's a leak, they'll have that fixed. And once you're there, and it really is a concierge. It's not a porter. It's not someone who just sort of minds the flat. They will book restaurants for you, and pretty much arrange anything. Actually, the building manager down there is really, really well regarded, and the residents speak very, very highly of them. He even furnishes their apartments for them. He's happy to take that on. So it really is a full concierge service. It's
interesting though, because I mean, I think the biggest point that you've made on there, which really hits home for me, is its clients' expectations, which are driving the market. Certainly, I've seen it in a lot of sort of big capital cities around the world, where it seems as if actually London have been a little bit slower getting to this sort of full concierge service which is being offered, where literally every single client's expectations are met. And it seems as if, and I might be speaking out of turn here, that because people are starting to use these London flats as pied-à-terres, where they come in and they leave maybe a month at a time, where they just want to not have to worry about a thing and it's all taken care for, but really that is driving the developments and the prices in these areas. So it's particularly interesting. Just what on 375 Kensington High Street, what are the sort of prices from and to? And
I think entry level for a 1-bedroom is about $1 million. But because obviously it's a new development, the price tends to sort of settle once you get the resales going. And we've already managed to get a few under offer. We're already doing a bit of business down there, which is great. So it starts from about $1 million right the way up to, we've actually got really quite incredible penthouse, which is 4,000 square feet.
Wow.
We're looking at about, it's 2 knocked into 1 actually. We're going to be looking at about 40 million, double height ceilings, absolutely incredible. And it's got circa 1,500 square foot of outside space, full parking spaces, and it really is incredible. And because obviously Kensington, that part of Kensington isn't too built up, you get unobscured views. You can actually see the Shard, as far down as that, basically. I mean, it really is like a sumptuous penthouse.
One day.
Cool, please call if it is, if that day comes. So yeah.
All right. Well, Nick, thanks ever so much for that. And I tell you what, just one throwaway comment. I presume, obviously, from the election standpoint, it's probably going to do you no manner of good, I would think, in our area.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. I'm sorry, from the prime central market, residential market, we've all breathed a huge sigh of relief. Yeah. People forget that it is a market like any other market, and it has certain behaviours, and confidence is a huge factor with any market. And I think that now there's been a lot of sort of hopefully pent up demand. People have been holding off. A lot of our market, as discussed the whole way through this, is overseas buyers. And they are very sensitive to potential changes in tax. And now the fear of potential mandatory tax is gone. We're hoping that it's just going to push the market on, and those people who are waiting in the wings that are going to come calling.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, it's not. I don't think it's only the estate agents who are breathing their sighs of relief. I mean, you only got to look at the surge in the property stocks and shares on Friday. So that the market, the industry, the entire investors world were breathing a big sigh of relief. And it wasn't just property stocks. I mean, it was quite a few of the big business stocks out there were surging. So it's it's good news, I think, all round from that side of business, which is great to hear. So Nick, Shaw, thanks so much. I really appreciate your time, and look, the very, very best of luck in an unbelievably competitive market. What a market to be involved in! Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it really is. But we're in. As I mentioned, I think Kensington is changing, and we're in the right place at the right time, and it's no accident. Thank you, James.
No, it's my pleasure. Thanks for all your time anyway. Really appreciate it. And for anyone who wants to know just a little bit more about Harrods, go to their website, harrodsestates.com. Alternatively, obviously, we've got an awful lot of information out there with all of these new build stocks that I'm sure Nick is talking about there on the whathouse.com website. And hopefully join us again for another one-to-one interview that we'll have. So thank you so much.